Hello, I am the Builder, and welcome to Building Apologetics. When you talk to people today, many people believe that science is at war with the Bible. Hasn't science disproved God? So hasn't science disproved God? The short answer here is no. In fact, almost all scientists will concede that there is no evidence that undermines the idea of God. At best, atheists can say science has found no evidence for God, but even if this were true, it would not come close to ruling out the possibility of God. It is also possible to bury God with science if we can explain everything on a naturalistic basis. This would essentially bury God with science. Dr. David Berlinski, a philosopher and physicist who is skeptical of the existence of God, believes that science has not buried God. He responded to the God delusion by Richard Dawkins by writing The Devil's Delusion. This is what he said in the flap of that book. Has anyone provided proof of God's inexistence? Not even close. Has quantum cosmology explained the emergence of the universe or why it is here? Not even close. Have our sciences explained why our universe seems to be fine-tuned to allow for the existence of life? Not even close. Are physicists and biologists willing to believe in anything so long as it is not religious thought? Close enough. Has rationalism and moral thought provided us with an understanding of what is good, what is right, and what is moral? Not close enough. Has secularism in the terrible 20th century been a force for good? Not even close to being close. Is there a narrow and oppressive orthodoxy in the sciences? Close enough. Does anything in the sciences or their philosophy justify the claim that religious belief is irrational? Not even in the ballpark. Is scientific atheism a frivolous exercise in intellectual contempt? Dead on. Dr. Craig, in a debate with Peter Atkins, explains that science cannot explain logical and mathematical truths because science presupposes them. To try to prove them using science would be circular reasoning. Metaphysical truths cannot be scientifically proven. Ethical, moral, and aesthetical judgments cannot be determined by science. There is no way science can determine that what the Nazi scientists did in Auschwitz was wrong. Most importantly, science itself cannot be justified by the scientific method. Science is filled with unprovable assumptions that must be correct in order for science to be conducted. Next, I will discuss several of the arguments that are posited to disprove the existence of God. The central proof for atheism is that there is no proof for God. This, however, is completely false. Relatively recently, a huge discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community, specifically because it seemed to suggest a creator. That discovery was the fact that the universe had a beginning. The Kalam cosmological argument states that everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore, the universe has a cause. Since the first two statements are true, the third must follow logically and necessarily. We also know that because the universe contains all matter, space, and time, this cause must be timeless, spaceless, immaterial, and extremely powerful. We can use further reasoning to determine that this cause also must be intelligent. That sounds like a really good description of God. The argument from fine-tuning is another scientific argument that suggests the existence of a creator. Also, the fact that there is a language more complex than anything we have invented in the form of DNA suggests that an intelligence wrote the code. One of the most common criticisms of God, perhaps, is that he is only an explanation for things that we do not know. This is called God-of-the-gaps reasoning. Atheists believe that when scientists close all the gaps in our knowledge, they will eventually make the space for God smaller and smaller. The problem is, this is not much of an argument because most Christians do not hold this type of theology. In fact, all of the arguments on this channel will avoid God-of-the-gaps reasoning. One example is the Kalam cosmological argument. Notice that this argument is true whether it explains gaps in our understanding or not. Also, as Christians, if we define God as the explanation for things we do not know, then it logically follows that science must be the enemy of God. This is because it's the job of science to fill holes in our understanding. This video would not be complete without addressing the main points in the God delusion by Richard Dawkins. 1. One of the greatest challenges to the human intellect has been to explain how the complex, improbable appearance of design in the universe arises. 2. The natural temptation is to attribute the appearance of design to actual design itself. 3. The temptation is a false one because the designer hypothesis immediately raises the larger problem of who designed the designer. 4. The most ingenious and powerful explanation is Darwinian evolution by natural selection. 5. We don't have an equivalent explanation for physics. 6. We should not give up hope of a better explanation arising in physics, something as powerful as Darwinism is for biology. Therefore, God almost certainly does not exist. I would agree that it is natural and logical to attribute the appearance of design to actual design itself. If that is what the evidence leads to, God is the logical conclusion. The third point Dawkins makes seems to be the only actual argument against God. Notice that it is a philosophical argument, not a scientific one. The problem of who designed the designer arises only if we believe in a created God. The God of Christianity is eternal and uncreated, so he doesn't require a cause. The remaining points seem weak because they seem to say there is no evidence against the existence of God, but don't worry, we will find some. One of the biggest problems with the Bible is the idea that evolution disproves the idea of God. But is this true? The biggest way this hurts the idea of God is that it provides a way for nature to blindly create all of the species in existence without a need for God. Of course, God is still possible in this paradigm, but not necessary. It is possible that God started life and created it in a way that would eventually diverge into different species on its own. The fact is, the Bible just doesn't tell us how God did it. When it gets to humans, however, it makes it clear that Adam was created out of the dust of the ground. It would be perfectly capable of saying God made Adam from pre-existing animals, but it misses it by a mile. If it wanted to hint that there was evolution in the creation of Adam, this was the worst way to do it. So it is possible that evolution is responsible for all life other than humans, but humans could not have been formed by this process. Another thing people think hurts the possibility of God is the Big Bang Theory. Some even believe it is from Satan. These people, however, do not understand that the Big Bang Theory is one of the biggest reasons to believe in God because it tells of a cosmic beginning. This beginning hints the existence of a God to bring the universe into being. The last way people believe science has buried God is by disproving the creation account found in the book of Genesis. Astrophysicist Dr. Hugh Ross believes, however, that Genesis is completely scientifically accurate. In fact, that is what led him to Christianity. He and many others have offered strong reasons to believe in Genesis. Unfortunately, I do not have the time in this video to go into that subject. Let me know in the comments section if that is something you would like me to make a video on. When evaluating the evidence, it is clear that science has in no way buried God. It has not explained so much as to make God obsolete, and there has been no scientific discovery ever that hurts the idea of God. So hasn't science disproved God? The answer is no. It has not, and it never will. In fact, this idea is a complete myth pushed by those who don't want to believe in the existence of God. I am the Builder, and this is Building Apologetics. Subscribe if you want to learn more about the evidence for God, and post comments, questions, concerns, or critiques in the comments section. Click the annotation to watch the next video when it comes out. Until next time, farewell.